In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most gracious, peace be upon all of you. We would love to welcome you through the Tax Authority social media channels in the second session within this series of sessions with you and for you. This raising awareness campaign is being launched by the Tax Authority to introduce the significance and also the different aspects of the VAT and how it is being implemented and how it is being computed, and plus to other aspects related to the value added tax. In this seminar, which is the second within a series of sessions regarding the VAT, we will be introduced to the scope and definitions of different types of supplies within the VAT. In addition, and how the VAT is treated for different types of supplies. Today with us from Ms. Karima bint Mubarak Asadi, the Director General of Planning and Policies, which is she's an acting director. Hello. Dear audience, through the Tax Authority channels, either on YouTube or on the Tax Authority's page on Twitter, we would love to welcome your questions and inquiries regarding this session. And we would start with Ms. Karima to speak about this campaign, which is entitled With You and For You. How did you pick this logo? This campaign has been adopted by the Tax Authority in order to introduce the awareness of those who are taxable people. We are dealing with the customers in order to explain to them the regulations and policies which taxable people they go through. So at least they need to understand that they need to have a certificate, they need to have an invoice in which they explain which are products that are exposed to 5% and what are exempted products. The taxable entity or person, he needs to understand his rights and duties. He maybe is being able to register, to give also some disclosures within a period of time, and also he is being in case he is deregistered, then he needs to inform the tax authority. In case the tax authority is editing his profile, so then the taxable person, he can object. So we are trying to help the taxable people to know what are the requirements for the registration. Yes, there are rights and duties on each person. Now let's know the scope of the VAT through the presentation will be delivered today, and also to understand the different aspects, and also we'll be able to answer the questions for the audience one by one, so they can ask, you can send your inquiries through writing on the chat bar on YouTube. Yes, today we would discuss the three main approaches. The first one would discuss about the scope of VAT computation, and then the second is about and the third one is about the different treatments for the different. Now, number one is about the scope of VAT. Now, as per the VAT Royal Decree now, and also it is executive regulation, this has been imported in the services, the products and imports in different products of production, and also the VAT. Now, what do you mean by the supplies? The supplies is the supplying services or products with a benefit. For example, selling or providing a service for the consumer within a certain set of regulations as been identified by the executive regulation. Now, let us speak about the products. The products are different types of products that you can see in different places. So these are taxable unless they are otherwise exempted as per the law. Now, how do we does the supply happens? It is through transferring the ownership of the product from the original owner, who is the seller, to the consumer and also to the customer. Once the customer owns this product, he will be able to deal with it as he is the owner. He can waiver it without the need for any agreement. So he can also transfer them with a post date. So this, it could be a pre-agreement, it could be a post-agreement. Now it could be also some taxable, the person, so he can get some awards. Now regarding the supplies of services, it's any different types of supplies other than products. So if this is not product supplies, then there would be a service supplies. So specifically for the allocation, the waiver, and also including not to do a certain task. For example, the services, all of you know that what type of services that are delivered. This can be consultancies, it could be the sport activities. All of such activities, they are subjected to the tax, and also even if there is a trademark. So all of such also so the person who owns this brand, he can give the authority to another person. So this is regarding services. Why did you use the term supply? If we speak, why did you choose the term supply in this? Now the supply is, as a matter of fact, is for the sold materials, but also this would be different. There are some 0% products, there are 5%. If we speak about a product, so the total, it will be many, and it will not just be abided into a certain products. Now the supplies, it would give a difference either with the exempted supplies, whether input supplies, output supplies. So this term is being used to differentiate between the VAT and also with the other, against the other normal trading activities. Also, regarding the tax card, it is for the different products which are imported from different places other than the GCC countries as per the common customs law. And also regarding the other products which are exported from the GCC countries and also from the Oman to other countries. If we just define what type of supplies, we have the intra supplies. These are initiated by some suppliers who have a residence in Sultanate of Oman, and in case this supplies, it could be from someone who is residing in Oman, and also or he is residing in any of the GCC countries. Now regarding the taxable supplies, those supplies which are exposed to 5%, and the taxable entity or the person, he can ask for tax discount regarding the products or services he is importing as per promulgated in the law. Now regarding the imports from any GCC countries to the Sultanate of Oman, does this consider as intra supplies or not? No. For the current period, it does not consider as intra supplies between the GCC countries. Unless as we deal with these dealings as one entity or one region. So for the GCC countries, is still being established, and now we are building a center, and the center will adopt and approve all of these dealings as if you are dealing with the international world. When do you expect to finish? Now we hope that it will be finished very soon. As you may know that Qatar and Kuwait did not apply yet the VAT. Now regarding also, we have the exempted supplies. The exempted supplies, the products that are waived from the VAT, and also the taxable person, he can ask for not to pay all of these. So this now, for example, the taxable person who he has bought some products and then he imported or supplied them with or not just for personal use, or for example, these products, they have been taxed and then they have been transferred to exempted business activity. So on this, and the purpose of purchasing these products is to go for to do this as a business. If they are not, then as if you are importing them to get some benefit. Also, there is those products which are imported, for example, or to give them as a present or as gifts to a friend, or to give them just a service without any benefit. So this is one of the supplies which are done for a benefit, and this also would. Yes, now regarding there's the different types of presents, and we'll also discuss them later on. In order to consider them these products, they must be considered as input taxes. If they are not deducted before, so then we should not pay. Now let's assume if these products, they have been imported without any benefit, so we will approve the cost of the products or just the market value for that product. Now there is which is the outer scope supplies. So we mean by this, in case person, now there is a group tax which are dealing with the business within that group, so that will be considered as supplies outside of the group. In case, for example, between the insured person and non-insured person. Now, for example, if a person who has an agreement to insure his car, so then he paid the insurance percentage, but however, then there was an accident for the car. So in that case, the insurance company, they will pay for the insured person. So that payment of insurance that the recipient would receive, that would not be taxed. In case also the taxable person for products and also for the services, those who are taxable people, if he decide to move part of his business activities to another person, if this kind of movement to the person who would continue to do the same business activity, so this supplies will be outside of the tax entities. So in this case, we are just considering the continuity of the business, and this is one of the facilities the tax authority is providing for the market. But also in terms now for the supplies, I've mentioned a main point. There is a difference between the supplies of people and also the supplies of an institution in terms of implementing. No, there is no difference. Any person who is importing materials from outside, then that materials will be taxed as per the law, either from the customs ports. Now for the tax, so for the tax percentage, there is which is the 5% has been approved by the GCC countries. Most of the products and the materials which are imported, they are exposed to 5% unless they are exempted by the law. And in the previous session, we've discussed what kind of products and services which are deserve 0% and also that deserve wavering activities. Now for the tax treatment for different types of supplies. After we've discussed now each type of supplies has a different dealing. Now for the supplies, in order to understand them, we need to that be delivered by someone who is taxable. So the taxable person is the person who is registered, or the company which is required to register. Any person who is required in the tax authority, so then he can receive the payment for the tax. In case also that entity now is supplying and importing, as was mentioned before, for different types of supplies, either from people, either legal or otherwise. In case the client is receiving products or services which are imported from some person who are not living in Sultanate of Oman, that products will be taxed. And then also we'll know how can we calculate this tax. In order to expose these products, these services to the tax, then it's going to be either for the 5% or for the 0%, and the import will be against a benefit. It could be with the financial support. Yeah, so that would include the value and also the supply in a place in the Sultanate of Oman, and the third point that this imported materials for the business required in the Sultanate of Oman, and also you can import them and then sell them to another person. Now for the benefit, we said that this how can we calculate the benefit first? Then we need to identify what is the value of the VAT which is been imposed, and then we will understand what is the percentage. Then now we define the payment is whatsoever is receiving by the taxable authority from the client or from non-clients for importing either products or services. So for example, if we buy TV, and there will be a payment against that TV. So the as you as importer, the payment you get, so the tax will be deducted, and there will be go to the tax authority. Also, there are now then the place of supplying, or the supplying place. You cannot just VAT some products which are already VATed in the other countries. So for these products, you need to understand what is the supply location. Once we understand the supply location, we will understand the significance of the place as per the rules. Now the place for the supply is different for products other than for the services. Is this client is taxable or non-taxable? Now this is an example for supplying materials or products either including transport or without including transport. In case of the taxable authority is importing products with the transportation service by him or by, and then the Sultanate of Oman, they must be within the Sultanate of Oman. In this case, if it has been delivered to the person straightforward at the delivery place, that will be will be considered the supplying location. Now we'll take some questions which are through the chart from the YouTube, and there is a question related to the percentage of the VAT which the GCC agreed to apply, which is 5%. Why does the Sultanate of Oman apply the 5% while there are some GCC countries they applied higher rate? The Sultanate of Oman is committed to the agreement that has been signed by the GCC countries and also by the Omani law. Now for the other GCC countries which have applying their different type of percentage, that is something internal within those countries, and they have their own justifications. So now we are just abiding and complying with the common customs law. Does this 5% will be less than 5% in any of the other countries? I don't have the current information regarding this aspect, but I think each country has its own conditions. As if it's when lifted or increased in the other countries, it could be reduced in other countries. Now for the construction companies, they are providing services. Does the services of the construction is taxable? If these services between the different parties in 1 year until the mandatory, it is 38,000.5 Omani riyals, then they will be taxed on those. And these companies, they can, in case their supply is reaching 19,500, then they will be, after that they will be taxed. So as we said before, that the taxation is it is a neutral tax, and this be benefited for those taxable people because they have they can understand how can they ask for the discounts. There is a question from one of the viewers regarding the clearance companies and for the companies in Yemen which are outside of the Sultanate of Oman. Do they require to increase the tax or not? The operations which are taken outside the Sultanate, so they receive just 0%, because so the taxable authority or entity, he can ask for the input tax, then this products would be moved from the Sultanate of Oman to Yemen. So these are the questions that we received up until now through the live broadcast. Definitely we will welcome all the viewers to ask their questions regarding this workshop. Go ahead, please, Ms. Karima. Now we've just stopped at the location of supplies. Now let's take a question until the presentation responds to the. Ms. Karima, there is a question regarding those service providers or for the stores. They are deserving. They receive tax while they are not registered. How can we help clients if this store or this company is registered or not registered? So whether he deserves the tax or not. The client, he needs to understand that there is a tax certificate in one of the centers in order to check whether he deserves to pay the tax or not. So if there is no tax certificate, so that company should not ask clients to pay the tax. In case this company is asking for the clients to pay with the tax they should not deserve, so then in this case you can object to them, and then he need to pay all the payment that he received plus the other penalties they can be imposed on them. Now we would discuss about the products, and now regarding the location of supplies for the services. Now the services their location is identified within the service recipient. Need to make sure that the recipient he is taxable, so then the taxable person will be in the location. In case the client is not taxable while the supplier is taxable, so and then it will be paid as at the location of the supplier. So then in this case we need to understand and differentiate between who is taxable and who is not taxable. So in case the client is not taxable, so then the supplier will be in the shop of those taxable people. This is as being mentioned before. There are some exemptions, for example, for the cultural services. Now in this case the client is not taxable, and wherever there is the delivery, and then we can ask for the authority, which is the delivery process. Now, as we said before, in case the client is not taxable, so then the delivery must be at the supplier location. In this case, now the client is not taxable person, so you need to identify the sports activities supplying location, and also for the cultural services. Now for the wireless and also cabling telecommunication services, they can also benefit from these services. Now also for the transport leasing services, so also we need also to differentiate. So in case the vehicle is under the control of the non-taxable client, so this client will be exempted. Now regarding for the real estate, the location of the materials which are exposed, and then they will be also taxed. Now for the who deserves the VAT, and now I'll speak about the just normal scenario which has been implemented because just a couple of years. In one of these following cases, number one, there will be one of them will be taxed. For example, the date of supply, in case if it is it comes first, or for example receiving the payment partially or fully before, or even the date of the invoice. So then we start to impose the VAT. So these are for the supplies which are happening for one time. for the supplies which are resulted to pay consecutively in one of these activities, for example, the actual payment date, or for the VAT actual payment. For example, if let's speak about rent, is it rent and is it being mentioned as being at the date of the voucher, or is it at the date of the month end? So if the invoice has been paid for, and so then that person needs to pay the tax during paying the invoice. So these supplies need to just happen one time within 12 months. Now we have also another example for supplies which are taking place during, now we're speaking about the products and also supplies. So this example will explain that these payments have been received before implementing the VAT, and then the invoice has been issued before the VAT implementation. However, the service and delivering the products after the tax, the VAT. So the full amount there will be taxable. So in 1st of March there was an invoice that the person would love to buy a car, and the 16th of March has paid the payment, or 10th of April. The 16th of April he received, there was the VAT. So when the car goes to receive the vehicle, so the vehicle will be taxed by the VAT, because he received it after implementing the VAT. So even if he bought before the delivery, so then the delivery will be at the time of receiving the product. Now for the contracts, consecutive contracts, so the situation is a bit different for the supplies, the consecutive supplies regarding which have been approved before implementing the VAT. So in this case, the only portion which has been agreed upon before the tax implementation, the VAT implementation, that will be taxed. Otherwise, if it's been the other amount which was implemented after the the VAT, then they will be fully taxed. But still, if let's assume that there is a rental agreement which was signed by the 1st of January 2021, but however after 16th of April, then they deserve to add the VAT. We've discussed about the benefits for the VAT can receive them, and these are the commitments that the person needs to apply for the products, which we call the output tax. The output tax is it is about the VAT which has been implemented on the tax products, which is the 5%, which is also in the other way it's a 0%, which is outside of the output tax. Now let's take some questions from viewers. One of the viewers, Badr Al-Badwi, is asking, we as an entity which is a specialist in cookies, or either whether, and we have Riyada card, are we obliged to pay the tax, and we are registered in the social insurance? Yes, if their selling rates reach 38,000 Oman riyals, whether it's legal or not, then that person needs to pay the VAT, because that person is practicing the business, and he's also getting some returns. Unless that person is doing some business and he is getting any payment in return, so he needs to register. Does this include the training centers? Now, regarding the institutes and training centers which are approved by the concerned entities, like for example the Ministry of Higher Education or any other ministry which are responsible for this, so these are exempted from the VAT because they are related to education. And does the training? Yes, even training is included within the education. So education and the training, they consider one. But as I said before, as per the conditions set out in the law. Mahmoud Al-Kalbani is asking, we need to explanation for the earlier tax disclosure for the construction companies. Yes, we've talked about this in the previous seminar, but we just need to discuss it very quickly. Now for the initial disclosure, we don't have initial disclosure. There is a disclosure which has been delivered by each countries, and this is for the either the products either through 0% or 5%, and the taxable interest. So he need to explain the amount of payments that he paid for the products he bought, and also for the output he is selling, and also for the input and the output, and the difference between these two taxes. We will know how much he is paying and how much he is deserved to return. Shall we continue the questions after children? Now we would have the taxable person. For example, so as we said before, that this the taxable person, he has a taxation number which is being imposed by 5%, which is the input, and then we would add the amount, and then would be 105 riyals, and in this case for the Sheen LLC. So this company needs to receive the 5%, or receive the percentage, and then deposit it to the tax authority. We'll just now for a short break, and then we'll get back to continue this seminar. Thank you. أمور طيبة. بدن
إضافة نشاط جديد، واملي الحقول، وبعدها اضغط احفظ المسودة. أما المرفقات تقدر تضيفها كاملة من هنا، وبعدها تضغط تقديم ثم طباعة القرار. إذا كنت لا تحمل سجلاً تجارياً أو تملك عقارات، فيمكنك تحميل استمارة التسجيل المخصصة لمن لا يحملون سجلاً تجارياً بخطوات سريعة. تضغط هنا وضغط هنا للتنزيل، ثم أرسل الاستمارة عبر الإيميل info@taxoman.gov.om. وصلنا لآخر خطوة بالعملية، وهي طباعة شهادة ضريبة القيمة المضافة من صفحة الخدمات الإلكترونية بواجهة الموقع. بشر، كيف الأمور؟ لا تنسى الشهادة الضريبية مهمة، اطبعها، بروزها، علقها في مؤسستك عشان تكسب ثقة الزبائن وودهم.
We would love to welcome you once again, dear viewers, in this seminar from the Tax Authority, which is discussing the VAT tax and how it is being computed. We've stopped with certain questions which are delivered by the viewers, and we'll continue. Now, there is a question regarding one of the viewers. Now the registered companies in the tax authority which bought a shop which is not taxed. How does the purchase process happens? If the shop which is the sold one is not registered, so this kind of supply is not taxable, and then it will be part of the company, isn't it? Yes, if it is been so we need to identify the supply value. Is it above 38,000 riyals or not? Another person is asking about computer shops, and he says all people they buy laptops and computers for students. Does these are they taxable or not? Yes, they are taxable. I think he's asking, he needs to connect that learning is education. Yes, education is untaxed, but also for the, now we're just speaking about the trainings and also for the curriculum development and so on, but not for the computers. So in this case we're speaking about educational services. Does these or do these prices get affected by the VAT, including for example the hospitals, medicines, schools, equipment? Do they need to pay for the VAT? Yes, these might be affected indirectly because of the increase of the cost. So in the service supplier we might increase in order to compensate for the losses that he bought. So yeah, he might add. So yeah, in this case there might be just a minor increase in the education fees because in order to compensate for the losses, isn't it? Yes, for the some products they have been approved. There is also another about the penalties imposed on those violators. Can you just summarize them? There are different types of penalties, and also it depends on the type of a penalty. For example, if the person he does not show the certificate, a tax certificate, or he does not attend when he is being asked for to be interviewed by the tax authority. So in case, for example, if he is writing incorrect tax, so and there will be penalties. It might be just paying 100 Omani riyals up until 10,000 Omani riyals as a penalty. In some cases, he might be imprisoned. So it depends on the type of crime that, and also the mistake that the taxable person is has violated. Another person he is asking regarding the clearance and also the transport outside the Sultanate of Oman. This is considered as export. Is there zero invoices need to be issued with 0%? So if he is selling to some other countries, there is a bayan system which is part of the ROP, and he will deal with certain things. And there is also coordination between us and between the DG of Customs and the ROP. If the company is supplying more than 250,000 Omani riyals, but we have saved our information up until the 5th of April in the tax authority, and then by 16th of April we have been asked to pay. They delivered the information before the date of the taxation. So what happens? So the execution or the implementation is supposed to be from 16. So there is a mistake, I guess. So this is enough for these questions, and we will get back to them after we finish the presentation. So we'll go through the slides. Now discuss about the supplies of materials in case of the person, and what are the benefits that person would receive. Now there is where we call the input tax. The input tax is the input that the taxable person needs to pay regarding the products and services he is importing for business. Now regarding the discount right. The discount right is the taxable person, he needs to receive the discounted amount during that period, or through when he is required to pay for the VAT as per the computation equation. So he can also need to keep all the documentations with them. If he is not registered, then he wouldn't be able to get this kind of discounts from the tax authority. There also we call the input tax for some products that he does not deserve to receive inputs. Now, for example, if these products are not just for business or just for personal use, if these are personal use, they will be exempted. So if he is the consumer, yes, he is the end user, it's not for a business. So in this person, then he will not get some kind of discounts, and he will not get also he need to pay for the taxes. For example, any of the ministries, for example, Ministry of Agriculture is stopping for example, importing certain type of birds. So this type of birds, he does not need to import them from, because there is a decision to stop importing this kind of birds from outside the Sultanate. So on this points, I remember this. Now for the VAT, it is exposure. So this would expose the failure of the business administrative dealings, some of which, as you've mentioned before. So this person itself is committing mistakes, and he is also asking to get some discounts. So in this case, we would ask this person to, they would realize that this person is really contravening the law, and then he should not deserve the discount. Also, there is what we call the restricted products input tax, which is in case this taxi person is doing some kind of entertainment parties for his employees. This it might increase for a certain period in order to he says it is just for entertainment. So these are considered, they are restricted, and he does not need or he does not deserve any discount. So this will be for personal use, and also I'm not just speaking about the phones which are used in the institution or at the office. I'm speaking about the vehicles that the employee deserves to use to move from one place to another. This is not used for a visit, a friend, for to visit a house. It's not for personal use. It's just for the business. So in this case, they will not be discounted for these vehicles. And also for the beverages, some companies, they have restaurants, and they pay for these products, and these are really restricted for these companies, because there is kind of confusion whether you cannot understand whether these products they have been imported used for personal use or for selling. For the person who is exposed for the products, part of the products is just used for personal use, and the others are being used for selling. So in this case, this person either he can use these products for the business. So for example, how can we identify this? We can calculate the number of hours for using this system, or the number of days. Any standard that the taxable person he can calculate, which is the major part which they have been asking to for discounts. Also, we have the virtual or relative discount. For the relative discounts is for the taxable person is needs to pay for the input taxes for the products and services which is using to import taxable products. and just these used for the business activities or for the imports, they are not exempted. So in this case there is a confusion between the exempted and also for the non-exempted products. There is where we call there is the relative discount. There is equation by which we can calculate what is the percentage that needs to be discounted. We need for the relative discounts is the percentage of the amount of the inputs that the taxable entity can deduct for each taxable or taxation period. So this is following the total taxable products of the supplies, and then it will be divided by the total supplies amount, and then will be multiplied into 100%. For example, if the percentage is 40%, which is the taxed, so we will multiply it into which is into the tax, and then will be multiplied into 100, and then they would receive a percentage in order to understand whether this is post or before. When do you calculate this? Before at each disclosure period for the taxes. So in some cases these products, they have been used for a certain period of time, for example a certain ministry. So in the other period of time this being exempted. So this company needs to understand how we do the calculation and what's to be deducted, either not deducted. Now we have a case. Now there is a bank in the Sultanate of Oman who is registered, and the tax authority has bought PCs for 100,000 Omani riyals. Now, for example, this products is equaling like 60%, which is 100%. B is the 40. There is also the consultancy services, which is 10,000, and also business provision services, which is 5,000, and then there is the advertisement for service B, which is 2,000. And also there's we need to understand what are the kind of businesses that have been inputs. In this case, after we do the analysis for the input, so the taxable entity or authority, then we have the which is the product A. So it will be 60,000 multiplied into 5%, it will be 3,000 Omani riyal. For the consultancy services, which is the B service, so this he cannot deduct the tax. For the consultancy also services, he would deserve only the 60% of the supplies. Now regarding for the advertisement expenses will be 0. He does not have the right to deduct or to have a discount, because it is in total 25,000 Omani riyals, which without the 60%. Now, for example, for the cost of employees, the salaries is not the things that are exposed to the taxation, and there is no VAT to be imposed on salaries. Now there is the intra supplies. The intra supplies, which is there are taking place between the GCC countries, and the Sultanate of Oman is the place where this taxation is taking place. And number one, when in case these products they have been sent between the GCC countries, the supply location, it is if the country is the transport, and if the client is in the sender company, sender country is not registered. And in the second case, if the Sultanate of Oman, it is the place by which the product will end. And this this company which is importing is registered, and then he needs to pay. So there is a difference. Either of the supply of a products within the Sultanate of Oman, and if he is the importer is and the client is not taxable in the other country, so then the delivery location will be Sultanate of Oman. However, if the client is taxable, then the person needs to pay the tax there. Now for the second case, the supplies of products and services without focusing, with no assembly points. For example, if there is, in this case, they are not taxed because they will be kind of manufactured. So in this case, the Sultanate of Oman will be the country. If the client in which he would receive these clients outside the Sultanate, for example, if he is not registered there, so then the delivery must be in the Sultanate of Oman. If in case, for example, the importer in the Sultanate of Oman registered, so and there is the import in the other countries for different clients, if the total amount of supply is not less than and does not exceed 38,000 Omani riyals, so in this case will be taxable. So now the information center is not ready yet, so how can we exchange information? So in this case we are dealing, the GCC countries, they are dealing as if they are outside unless we finish the data center. Now for the exempted taxable people, for the there are certain exit borders. Unless the person is proving that he has already paid the tax. For example, any person, he is importing, for example, a product, one of the GCC countries, and then he came to the Sultanate of Oman. If the total amount is more than 1,000 Omani riyals, so the customs should not impose the VAT. But however, if the client is receiving these products, the person who, once he get the invoice, he will be paying in the country. But if he does not approve that, then he needs to pay that VAT and the exit border in the Sultanate of Oman. Now we will go once again with a short break, and then we'll get back to continue this seminar. Thank you so much. Welcome once again, dear audience, to continue this seminar. It seems that now the questions that start to increase from a client. That is in English, for those who are listening to this broadcast in English. There is interpreting into English. There is a question that in case there is a transport of in case there is transporting the household products from one place to another, are they taxed or non-taxed? Yes, if these products for this person who is already registered in the VAT in the in the tax authority, then he needs to pay. Otherwise, he should not. Yes, for the financial services, there is the executive board, which has already defined what are the kind of services which are taxed. Another question we have already discussed before: how can we deal with the businessmen who are inflating the tax? Now those taxable persons, they don't have the right to increase their products rates, not more than 5%, in case that taxable authority is registered in the tax authority in the Sultanate of Oman. Otherwise, he will be penalized. How does the tax authority can understand there is violation? It depends on the reports and also the complaints that we receive through answer centers. And also currently, very soon, we will start our field visits for those taxable people. Is this inspection for those taxable people or not? Or taxable entities or not? As been mentioned before, there are some shops they are asking for the VAT with that while they are not registered. No, they should not ask for these taxes unless they are registered. So this includes all different types of businesses. Yes, in fact, there is also another question, which is how can we make sure from the how to validate this tax certificates in the shops? Are they original or not? Yes, there is a URL when then there is a barcode, and there is a barcode in the certificate. You can just scan it, and then you would realize. Yes, we would now discuss the remainder, and then we will take the questions. Now we'll talk about the exempted supplies for those who are registered in the tax authority. Those who are taxable, they cannot ask for more taxation other than the one identified by the law. And the taxable entity, they must show their records and registration for the exempted supplies. Now for the deemed supply. Deemed supplied is for the products, and it will not be considered in order for just marketing some products. For example, they are importing products for the clients in order for the marketing. So if the marketing is not more than 50 riyals per year, so then we don't consider that as deemed supply. So there should not be any taxation. In condition that the total amount of the presents and gifts should not be more than 1,000 Omani riyal. How can we calculate? It depends for the taxed products as per the purchase cost. In case there is, we could not understand realize the purchase cost, then we can consider it and deem it. So the importer must have a CR, commercial registration, and also the VAT certificate. We have in our case for disposing whether this is a deemed or whether it is a taxed. Yes, it's good for such case studies to understand the computation. Then this would help us to understand. Now, for example, disposing, for example, the distributing some free products when launching certain products campaign. So this is when not taxed, and but however it must register as per the tax. Now, for example, if a businessman registered in the VAT, he wants to build his car. He wants to sell his car, his own car, for personal use, and so this will be exempted. Now, for example, consulted services which are delivered to the client, and for example, if someone is delivering these consultative services for his friend, so then it will be exempted. Now, for example, if using a truck for the company to transport the household products through the weekend, so this is will be considered as deemed product. So the consultancy and also for the truck. Now for the third, which is the free consultation project. How can you calculate if it is not registered? The taxable person, so the person who is delivering the service, he must be registered. If he is registered, if we know that he delivered his free services or services for certain people, and if we know that this person, these are not as per invoices, but we deem that these services have been supplied, and in this case we will evaluate them as per the market price or for certain kind of dealings, and by that we can let them pay. Then we have also supplies which is outside the scope of VAT. As was mentioned now, for example, transferring part of your business activities from your own ownership to another one for certain considerations. So in this case, there would be so in this case this person will be exempted, and the person who has received this kind of a transfer of the shop, then he needs to register this entity, or also to continue these businesses. So the person who is receiving the tax, he must be also exempted. Now, for example, if I transfer the assets to that person should not sell. He needs just to continue the business. After a couple of period of time, then he can sell it to somewhere else. Now, regarding for the insurance compensations. The taxable person is now, for example, will be compensated in case his car is being broken down, or for example, in case there is a damage or there is an accident. So the compensation that person will receive from the insurance companies is not taxed. Also, there is the dealing between the companies from the same sector is not also taxed also as well. Now for the imports or the supplies, so we need to identify the place of the import, which is for example, which border of the Sultanate these products they have entered into Oman. So in this case, and then we will be exposed to the VAT. When we receive the VAT, after we receive these materials to the GCC countries, and the VAT value will be identified as per the common customs law between the GCC countries. Now for the Bayan customs system, it states very clearly how can we calculate these products. And the 3% needs to this, the customs will collect these taxes, the VAT, and then will transfer them to the tax authority. So this for the taxable authority, he can delay once before just 1 month. He just need to delay. He just need to report that he would love to delay paying the VAT. So then there are certain conditions that he must meet. Now the importer must be registered in the VAT system. So if he is not registered, then he cannot delay, because in some cases the VAT does not have the enough money in order to pay. So then he can postpone. The importer also need to fulfill all the products, and also if the taxable he does not meet the conditions, then will not grant him some kind of privileges. and these are products which are imported. And the delay must be delivered with the as per the tax authority. So these are good privileges. They have been postponed. And if this person he cannot pay them at the exit border, he can just delay them and pay them during the tax disclosures to the tax authority. Can they postpone them electronically? Yes, they can. Just for this time being, they can just ask for apply to the tax authority, and very soon we'll make this available to them. This another it's about the imports to the GCC countries. So this now these are for the reverse products. Now, for example, if we have a company which is being imported to an Omani company, now the client is being taxable. But however, the importer is not residing in Oman. It does not have. So it's just delivering a service for the Omani company. So the Omani company, they need to disclose as if they have already imported for themselves. So in this case, in order to identify this nature of the business and then to understand what kind of products, so the impact is zero. So what is so in order just to follow up and also to check some kind of information. Now for the export, during this period, the GCC countries, they are dealing with as if, when for example, if we export to one of the GCC countries, as if we are dealing with an international country. And as we said before, so the taxation will be 0%. Now for the imports for the free zone, as for the economic areas, so then also they shouldn't pay any taxes, and all the products and services delivered there will be 0%. And there is also for the, if he is not registered, and then he would not deserve to get the tax. And then the client needs to be registered in the now what I say about the special zones, either free zones and also for the special economic zones. By the person who is receiving them. And now, so for example, let's make this a project within the economic zone compared with others. So we don't just speak, not all the projects they deserve the discount. So also we need to, that person needs to keep all the documentations that have been transported. So for example, the products have been transported from the local market to the free zone as if he is trying to export, and then it will be just exempted from the tax. Now, for example, also the imports for the services into the economic zone, that the person needs to be taxable, and he needs to be a license from the operating entity and from the supervising entity. And after that, this client needs to receive to implement this business for the economic zone, and these projects, they should not be also exempted from the. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Karima. There are just a reminder of the questions. I'll just discuss them very briefly. So this is a question similar to the now for what is the benefit for the companies then once they register, because they, which is less than 19,500 Omani riyals. Is there a benefit for them in case they register their companies in the tax authority, which is less than 19,500? They don't oblige to register. So this is called just the voluntary registration, but those who are selling more than 38,500 Omani riyals, then they need to register. Yes, there is another question. is in Twitter. We realized that there is difficulty dealing with products for the medical services which are not taxed. But however, أثناء the treatment, they are using, for example, their taxed products, and their cost it will be much higher. So the person who is asking the questions, we are not allowed to tax these products. So what is the best solution? There is a decision 56 in 2021 for the products. It's been issued by the chairman for the products which are exempted, and this for the products and also for the materials which are deserve 0%. So these are exempted no matter how much they are being sold by. We are an Omani company, and we deliver logistics services for clients in Yemen through transport, and also for the discharge, loading, and also through the company trucks owned by the company. And these transit products, and then we pay all the dues to the customs, the ports, the companies, and also for the shipping lines, and then we issue an invoice for the outside or external clients. Are they? In case the supplies reach the 38,500 Omani riyals, so then that person he needs to pay for the tax. So these are the total of the questions that we received from our clients. And I think the session has ended. If you would love to add something. I wish that all the business entities, they register if they are not registered yet. And we are in the 3 phase as per the decision number 3 issued in 2021. So the process is really easy, free, and the taxable entity, if they register, they would avoid any penalties in the future, and also they would benefit from the right of discount and also the right of other benefits. Thank you, Ms. Karima bint Mubarak Saadi, the DG of the acting and the of policies and the tax authority. Thank you so much, and thank you for dear audience for the good following, and see you next week. Thank you so much.